Шановні пані та панове, перед тим, як ми розпочнемо, прошу звернути увагу на важливе правило з міркувань безпеки. Під час нашого заходу діє інформаційне ембарго. Будь-яке поширення інформації, фото чи відеоматеріалів можливе лише після 9-ї години завтрашнього дня. Будь ласка, утримайтесь від публікацій в соцмережах чи пересилання матеріалів до цього часу. Це наша спільна безпека і відповідальність. Також ми хочемо висловити щиру вдячність співорганізаторам цього заходу, Міністерству освіти і науки України, Міністерству цифрової трансформації України, Міністерству закордонних справ України, Фонду Президента України з підтримки освіти, науки і спорту, ЮНІСЕФ та Освіторії. Завдяки нашій спільній роботі сьогодні ми маємо нагоду зібратися тут і відкрити важливу розмову про роль освіти у світі, що змінюється. Дорогі друзі, в разі повітряної тривоги ми маємо укриття на 0-му поверсі і просимо туди перейти. А зараз я передаю слово модераторці нашого заходу відкритої лекції пані Алі Цапів, помічниці ректора з інтернаціоналізації Херсонського державного університету.
Дякую. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, as we are going to speak today both languages, English and Ukrainian, so we will have a bilingual conversation. So the Summit of First Ladies and Gentlemen is an international platform of soft power and dialogue initiated by the First Lady Olenою Зеленською. Its theme for 2025 is Education Shaping the World, which encompasses 4 subtopics: access to education, teaching, technology and innovation, education for peace. This year, the summit introduces several formats, from high-level ministerial discussion to public panels and cultural events. A special focus is placed on the series of lectures by world-renowned intellectuals and Nobel laureates held at leading universities across Ukraine. These lectures are designed to extend the summit beyond official halls, reaching directly into the students' community, where the future of education, science, and leadership is being shaped. The goal is not only to share knowledge, but also to engage in meaningful dialogue with young people, those who will define the world of tomorrow. In this context, Entony Menninga's lecture, Unlock Your Cultural Competence and Cultural Intelligence, Building Skills for Study, Work, and Life Through Internationalization at Home, is a transformative strategy that makes international education more accessible, inclusive, and sustainable. Шановні пані та панове, Саміт перших леді та джентльменів – це міжнародна платформа, в якої сили та діалогу започаткована першою леді України Оленою Зеленською. Темою саміту 2025 року є «Освіта, що формує світ». І цей напрям охоплює 4 підтеми: доступ до освіти, викладання, технології та інновації, а також освіта заради миру. Цьогоріч саміт передбачає кілька форматів – від високорівневих міністерських дискусій до публічних панелей і культурних подій. Особливий акцент зроблено на серії лекцій всесвітньо відомих інтелектуалів і лауреатів Нобелівської премії, що проходитимуть у провідних університетах України. Ці лекції покликані розширити вплив саміту за межі офіційних залів, безпосередньо звернувшись до студентської спільноти, саме там, де формується майбутнє освіти, науки та лідерства. Мета полягає не лише у поширенні знань, а й у налагодженні змістовного діалогу з молоддю, тими, хто визначатиме світ завтрашнього дня. У цьому контексті лекція Ентоні Меннінга «Розкрий свій культурний інтелект, формування навичок для навчання, роботи та життя через інтернаціоналізацію вдома» підкреслює, що інтернаціоналізація вдома є трансформаційною стратегією, яка робить міжнародну освіту більш доступною, інклюзивною та сталою. Отже, шановні пані та панове, наш захід оголошуємо відкритим.
Ще немає України, ні слава, ні воля, ще нам браття українські усміхнеться доля. Світ як роса на сонці, запануєм і ми, браття, у слові солодці. Ми можем за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького роду. Серділа ми можем за нашу свободу.
Героям слава! And now it's my honor and pleasure to give the floor to the rector of Kherson State University, професор Олександр Співаковський. Шановні колеги, і зараз із задоволенням запрошую до слова ректора Херсонського державного університету, професора Олександра Володимировича Співаковського.
Thank you very much for inviting me for this microphone. Distinguished guest and our growth coming generation, young generation, our students, dear Professor Menning. Education that shapes the world. This is such a meaningful title for the fifth summit of First Ladies and Gentlemen, intending representatives of more than 40 countries around shared values. It is educational, the teachers, lectures, mentors that shapes the worldwide of every child and builds respect for freedom, independence, dignity, and human rights. When my hometown of Kherson was suddenly occupied, hundreds of educators showed courage and heroism. They stood at peaceful rallies to say, we are on our land, in our city, in our country. When this became too dangerous, many escaped the occupation, risking their lives to save what matters most, Ukrainian education and identity. Attempts to create a fake university failed. Real teachers kept teaching online. Kherson State University also relocated to ivano-franківськ in April 2022 without safe corridors, but we never stopped working. This is our mission, to stand our students even in the darkest times. Today, Kherson University is 108 years old. Despite war, relocation, and destruction, we remain strong and united. Our core values are freedom, dignity, democracy, and Ukraine connect us with civilized world. Internalization gives our students double degrees and internships at European universities, preparing them to rebuild Ukraine. Digitalization keeps education alive, even without buildings, through platforms that connect students and teachers everywhere. Preserving our history keeps alive our roots and identity, because there is no future without memory. We believe Ukraine does not need assimilation. We seek integration with the world, but we will always remain Ukrainians. Through the Twinning Initiative, we found a strong partner, the University of Kent in the United Kingdom. Professor Entony Mennінга became a member of our supervisory board and today is here with us as a lecturer at this summit. We are grateful for this chance to be heard, to feel the support of so many countries and people. This gives us strength to continue our mission, to provide quality, evidence-based education, to preserve our identity, and to return to a free Ukraine, Kherson, stronger and better. Gloria of Ukraine.
Героям слава. Thank you, Олександр Володимирович. And now, dear ladies and gentlemen, it's my great honor and great pleasure to give the floor to our speaker, to Professor Entony Mennінга. So Professor Entony Mennінга is an associate dean at Arden University who brings over 20 years of experience in international higher education, lifelong learning, and global collaboration. Professor Entony Mennінга is a member of our supervisory board and is an honorary professor of Херсон State University. Шановні пані та панове, маємо за велику честь і задоволення запросити до слова нашого спікера, професора Ентоні Меннінга. Професор Ентоні Меннінг є заступником проректора Університету Арден, Велика Британія, який має понад 20 років досвіду в галузі міжнародної вищої освіти, безперервного навчання та глобальної співпраці. Професор Ентоні Меннінг є членом наглядової ради Херсонського державного університету та є почесним професором Херсонського державного університету. Dear Ентоні, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Very nice to be with you today. Can you see my screen suitably in terms of my PowerPoint slides?
Not yet. We can see you.
I have shared them. So let me try again.
Yeah.
Does that work?
It works, but it's not full screen.
Okay. We try. Is that better?
It's still the same, but we can see the slides.
Is that working? No?
It's still not full screen.
Let me try again.
Okay. Take your time. We can, yeah, now it's full screen. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you for your patience with me. So thank you very much, Professor Tsapiv and Professor Spivakovsky, for the very warm welcome today. As Ala and Alexander have said, we have been collaborating for a number of years now, and it's been a great privilege to have opportunities to work with your staff and students. I started working at the University of Kent when we started to work together, and now I've moved to a new university, Arden University, which welcomes students from around 190 countries. We have 44,000 students working in person through blended learning and online around the world. And it's a great pleasure to be collaborating with you in this new way. Today, I wanted to talk to you about a particular type of internationalization, which I think is useful for Ukraine at the moment, and a form of internationalization which I think is really inclusive and developmental and flexible, helping staff and students to engage internationally in a range of different ways according to institutional opportunities. So what I want to talk about today is, on this slide, what is CQ? So I'm talking firstly about cultural intelligence, and then more about internationalization at home and internationalization of the curriculum, talking about some of the available resources available, the benefits of internationalization at home for Ukraine, and how we can also build something called a Global Opportunities Framework, which helps students and staff put together the range of things that you do in this space to inform institutional internationalization in a useful way. So this is a bit about me. So I am now working at Arden University, and my background is in developing curriculum and enabling internationalization for home, also students from your own country, and for students who might be international students interacting with your university or visiting your university. And you can find me on LinkedIn or on Twitter on those links on that page if you want to get in touch with me afterwards. And I'm honoured to have been given an honorary professorship by Kherson State University last year. So thank you again for that. So let me start by telling you a bit more about cultural intelligence. So cultural intelligence is a new form of thinking about intelligence, which is really more about how we can encourage individuals or teams or groups to get the most out of international situations through developing skills in this area. And you can see from that slide that internationalization of the curriculum, I should say internationalization in the form of cultural intelligence, comes in 4 different areas. So the drive or motivation, the knowledge we have about different regions, the actions or activities we undertake to demonstrate our knowledge, and also then the strategies we deploy to prepare and get the best out of different situations. And research seems to indicate that the more we can increase our cultural intelligence, there are organizations like the Cultural Intelligence Center in the US that promote this, that the better we have a chance to collaborate internationally and get good outcomes for our own country, but also internationally appropriate solutions that might be globally influential to help global citizenship or international relations. So you can see that on this diagram, you may have heard of things like IQ, which is the intelligence quotient, or multiple intelligences, popularized by someone called Howard Gardner in the 1980s for the first time. And then we've had Daniel Coleman, amongst other people, talking about emotional intelligence. And you can see the new kid on the block being cultural intelligence, and those 4 different dimensions. So it's my view that working on internationalization within our higher education provision helps to support cultural intelligence more generally, which has broader implications and benefits for society and for our students and for our staff. And that in order to support this, we can follow a process of curriculum internationalization. So curriculum internationalization, or sometimes also known as internationalization at home, when it focuses on what we do locally on our campuses, has a wide range of opportunities for helping us within our universities, within our curriculum, to build in international features that arguably help to support cultural intelligence of our students and make our learning more generalizable or applicable for future application in different contexts. You can see from this book, from Betty Lesk from the University of La Trobe in Australia, and the different avenues that she identifies here for content within the curriculum, learning outcomes within the curriculum, assessment tasks, teaching methods, and also support services, that we have an opportunity to weave in internationalization in many different ways, in a way there are so many different ways to do it that there are opportunities for different teachers to choose different things to realize that internationalization and to build cultural intelligence, depending on your subject area and also your time and your availability and the different subjects that you're teaching. And as well as the different disciplines, there are ways to think of it in terms of the formal curriculum, so what you're teaching in the classroom that contributes towards your students' learning and the marks that they get or the degrees that they get. Or it could also be about clubs and societies or the co-curricular environment, as well as the systems and policies that underpin what you're talking about. So, of course, curriculum internationalization can include mobility by sending people to other countries to experience what those countries are learning and the cultures that those countries are experiencing. And I know through the diaspora and the displacement that you're experiencing, many of your people are having those experiences. But for others, it's very difficult to travel. And therefore, internationalization at home is something which is really useful in terms of bringing internationalization to your locality through creative mechanisms. And this definition is from someone called, from two people, Jos Balin and Elspeth Jones, and they talk about internationalization at home being the purposeful integration of international and intercultural dimensions into the formal and informal curriculum for all students, because actually mobility is not always available to every student, even though that kind of learning can be very transformational. And if we think also about international experiences for students, some of us might be thinking, well, when I go to an international country, I have this opportunity to have something very transformational and deep because I'm suddenly transported to a new culture or a new learning environment, and that can change me quite radically. And that is true. But because that's not available to everyone, this is where internationalization at home comes in. And this research shows that actually, if you design smaller parts of internationalization at home well, they can have equal impact to having a deeper experience, which might happen over a shorter period of time in an international country. So it's more about the design of what you create to deliver to your students than necessarily where that experience is located, namely in your country or overseas. And some research on this slide shows how cultural intelligence development shows how this is the case. So I talked a bit about internationalization at home, and I wanted to just show you some open resources that you can see that might help you if you're interested in learning more about it. So this year we ran a conference with about 30 different presenters, which is available on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and type innovations in internationalization at home, you'll find probably about 30 online conference presentations from this year, but probably in total about 60 presentations from previous years where universities all over the world have been sharing their good practice in this space. So all you do is go to YouTube and type that title, Innovations in Internationalization at Home, and you'll come up with those free accessible videos of people telling us about good practice and what they have done to bring global features to the classroom within their environment. There's also a book that you can read excerpts from on Google Scholar. So if you go to Google Books and type in the same title, you can find information on this book. And equally to download, if you're interested in how you can systematize and bring more principled approaches to your internationalization at home activity within your university or your context, there's this free booklet that's available on the university's UK website. And you just have to type Internationalization at Home Handbook and UUK, and you'll get that on Google, and you can download that free of charge. That's been downloaded by about 80,000 people internationally around different countries in the world, and so it's becoming quite a popular resource. So a bit more on the benefits of internationalization at home to Ukraine. I think these are some of the things. Through internationalization at home, you can use digital tools through virtual exchange. So one of the things we do with Olena is English Club. And I know we've had various interactions with students also through ALA to do that, to bring international dimensions or contact. It can also have the opportunity to foster belonging and international connectedness through introducing different voices and different international speakers, demonstrate international solidarity. It brings the opportunity for curriculum renewal by introducing new features, virtual dimensions to the curriculum. It's a way of sustaining partnerships when sometimes physical mobility between university partnerships is more difficult. We have had students come to the UK from KSU to our university when I was at Kent, but small numbers. And so this gives an opportunity for bigger potentially. And also the sharing of European standards and this sense of being open and collaborative between universities, which is core to Kherson State University and to UK universities. It helps us maintain global engagement. It provides learning opportunities without risks of travel, which are challenging at the moment. It's also more equitable. It doesn't cost anything to engage in this way. And it's a form of academic resilience and a way to share your reputation, given the great work that you have continued to do online and in your new location in ivano-frankisk. And also helps build in some of those features of international mindedness and cultural intelligence, which we know are important for student mobility. So also I think internationalization at home and internationalization of the curriculum, they support this concept of knowledge diplomacy, which is about the fact that working together with international students and international staff, we're able to find solutions to problems and build collective solutions that are based on the multiple benefits of knowledge from your country, knowledge from our country, knowledge from any country that's coming together, rather than this idea of soft power through mobility, which is still sometimes mentioned in UK internationalization. I don't like the idea of soft power, because soft power is about trying to influence countries to think good about your country, when actually knowledge diplomacy is more about how we collectively shape new understandings by all of us being equal, whatever country we're coming from. I mentioned about employability. This diagram available through an organization called Talent Lift is identifying the importance of workplace diversity for innovation and solving problems. And I recently was working with our national agency, Universities UK, to try and encourage internationalization at home to become a more systematic approach. Because often within universities, we have lots of good features within different departments which demonstrate our good work in this space, whether it's through mobility, whether it's through encouraging engagement with other countries for English language or for shared projects. But sometimes it's not clear to students what's accessible. And so I'm advocating the design of a global opportunities framework within universities, which helps students to navigate which opportunities can be available to them, and helps them see that different international opportunities or projects or activities can be linked together as part of a range of things rather than seen as being disparate. And I think if you look at this diagram shows, for example, all the different things that might be available to students in a university. You've got language learning, you've got maybe festivals that you celebrate, maybe you've got modules with international features, maybe you've got intercultural awareness activity or study abroad opportunities or online collaborative activity. And maybe different staff in your university built these different things, and from a management perspective, you can see where they are. But when you're a student, sometimes it looks like spaghetti and it's more difficult to see how they relate together. And I'm using a metaphor here to help understand this. When we organize a dinner for an international audience, we would create maybe different types of dish or have different times when eating is possible. We might have different cultures represented within the food. We might have starter, main course, and dessert, and allow people to pick and choose which elements they want to have. And so to continue this metaphor of dining, it's tempting for us to think of the different international opportunities that we have as being really obvious and linear for our students. But actually, in many cases, our students hop around and take different dimensions. And some students may be very energetic and confident and may go straight for the main course of wanting to study abroad or wanting to do modules that are really internationally focused. Whereas others might need confidence building by doing something small like a starter activity. And let's face it, some people might have 3 starters and not do the main course. So we need to make it flexible, just like we would in a meal within our curriculum. And so some of these are reasons why I think a global learning framework is really useful. It provides a range of opportunities within the formal and informal curriculum. It can enhance our students' employability. It can help with accessibility and inclusivity. Having internationalization at home can also reduce our carbon footprint because it's not about mobility in the same way. And it can also help elevate the commitment that you have within your institution to internationalization, so that because it's basically internationalization for everybody, not just those who are able to travel. And as we know, travel is difficult at the moment. And in this way, I think sometimes when we look at our internationalization activities on campus, it looks very zoomed in and we can't see how things connect. So it just looks like a fuzzy group of dots. And if we zoom out, we get a chance to see how the picture is formulated. And then we can join up the dots and help people understand how things are connected. So here's just some ideas from me on ways in which the curriculum can be internationalized in these ways. We have language learning opportunities. We've got collaborative online learning. Yes, we've got study abroad, which is outside of internationalization at home, but if that is possible, given the restrictions or maybe just short term. And also you've got your diaspora group and displaced groups overseas that can contribute to your students at home in terms of sharing their cultural experiences. You've got global citizenship activity. You have online activity and also possibly what I would describe as global engagement modules. So one thing you can easily do is identify which of your modules already have really deep international features and showcase them to students as mechanisms that they're already harnessing to develop understanding of global religions, global societies, global environments in all of your subjects. Sometimes that's not about creating new things, but just helping people understand what they have done. There are also mechanisms in the formal curriculum to help internationalize learning outcomes. This is a model I developed to help understand how to do that in the module development process, and guidance on how to introduce collaborative online international learning, COIL, collaborative online international learning, which allows small groups of students at your university to potentially collaborate with those in other universities. And in a way, what you're doing with English Club is like that. So what I hope you can take from today is maybe think about your curriculum and how there might be things you could do to harness the good practice or reveal the good practice that you have in your modules and courses, or think of ways in which you could inject new internationalization opportunities there and promote the idea that whilst mobility for everyone isn't possible, or mobility is different given your displaced students and staff, there's a way of connecting that back to your home curriculum. And think about how you can resource this or think of your own action plan to move things ahead. Because I genuinely think internationalization at home is a really useful way to develop that important cultural intelligence that we know employers and the wider world really appreciate as one of the skills that comes from higher education. And here are some resources that might be useful. if you would like to learn more, and I can leave that PowerPoint with Professor Tsapiv. Thank you. And I think you might have some questions for me.
Thank you, Professor Entony Mennінга, for your
I stop
motivation.
sharing.
Yeah. For the motivation and inspiration. Thank you for the spaghetti metaphor. We have never thought of spaghetti in such a concept. And we were thinking in what part of this pyramid we are. So as we're having this event both in Ukrainian and English, I will summarize your lecture in Ukrainian, and after that we'll have a little discussion, and if our students have some questions, we will kindly ask you to answer these questions, and if they have some thoughts, if they want to share, they will also be very welcome to do that. Отже, шановні колеги, коротко підсумуємо основні позиції, основні концепції лекції, яка була присвячена інтернаціоналізації вдома. Отже, концепція інтернаціоналізації вдома, вона розглядається як трансформаційний підхід, що забезпечує більш широкий доступ до міжнародної освіти, робить її інклюзивною та сталою, водночас зберігаючи академічну структуру і глобальну залученість. Цей підхід означає зміну парадигми від моделі міжнародної освіти, орієнтованої на академічну мобільність, до локально інтегрованої моделі, яка охоплює всіх студентів у межах їхнього національного освітнього середовища. Інтернаціоналізація вдома стимулює взаємне навчання студентів шляхом обміну різними поглядами на життя, на життєвий досвід у межах формального і неформального освітнього процесу. Водночас визначається, що такі практики сприяють досягненню закладами вищої освіти ключових стратегічних цілей, серед яких глобальна залученість, підвищення конкурентноспроможності випускників на ринку праці, розвиток рівності, різноманіття та інклюзії, забезпечення сталого розвитку, поширення участі та академічне просування. Ентоні Меннінг так само наголосив на тому, що і надав конкретні моделі, як заклади вищої освіти можуть посилити ефект уже наявних активностей, тих заходів, які вони впроваджують, і які відповідають компетенції інтернаціоналізації вдома, завдяки самі побудові цілісної рамки глобальних можливостей. Цей підхід є особливо актуальним для сучасних транснаціональних партнерств України, оскільки він пропонує інструменти для змістовної міжнародної співпраці без обов'язкової залежності саме від фізичної мобільності, що набуває особливого значення в умовах сьогодення. So, dear Professor Entony Mennінга, let's start our discussion. And if you let me, I would like to begin the discussion. So, the lecture that you have conducted to us today, it was dedicated to the global concept of internationalization at home. And we're just interested in some questions. So, I would like to discuss with you one of the main, let's say that not the problems, but one of the main ideas that we are thinking about right now. That's what is our strategy. You know that our university, as well as all other Ukrainian universities and institutions, we're doing our best to preserve our education, to avoid brain drain, and we want to rebuild, recover, and to foster our educational system. And you have the experience of more than 20 years of experience. You have visited lots of universities, not only in Europe, and you have seen the best expertises and experience. So how do you think? What should we provide in our strategy of education, in our educational process to foster, to enhance our education and to make it more favorable and attractive for our students?
Absolutely. I think one great thing that you could do is introduce a really concrete or substantial dimension to your strategy, which focuses on internationalization of the curriculum, and then start that process by identifying all the good practice that you are already engaged with there, because what I know from already working with you is that there is already a lot of good practice, and identifying the mechanisms through which your different programs and courses and activities help students to develop those important skills in intercultural awareness and cultural intelligence, which we know are so important for employers and the future world of diplomacy between countries. So that's one first step you can do, is identify the good practice that's already there and draw a golden line through that, or pull a golden thread through it. That will then also help you present it more effectively to your students and staff, and hopefully when it is presented as a more cohesive activity in its own right, it will identify gaps that you can then seek to fill over time, because sometimes this sort of thing takes time and resource, and you can't do everything overnight. But importantly, the internationalization at home dimension means that it can be quite a lot of it from the resources that you already have and the expertise that you have and the connections that you have. It's not all about going out and going to different countries, but about the knowledge base and the connections and the thought processes that your students are introduced to. And then maybe that helps you demonstrate your distinctive place in the university ecosystem.
Thank you. Отже, шановні колеги, оскільки ми починаємо нашу дискусію з професором Ентоні Меннінгом, перше питання стосувалося, власне, глобальної стратегії розвитку і нашого університету, і українських університетів, оскільки ми робимо все від нас залежне для того, щоб зберегти українську освіту, для того, щоб уникнути відтіку молоді з України. І питання до Ентоні Меннінга стосувалося, які все-таки кроки, на чому нам потрібно зосередитись для того, щоб зробити освіту в Україні ще приваблішою. І, власне, продовжимо цю дискусію в межах програми «Інтернаціоналізація вдома». І отже, професор Ентоні Меннінг в межах тієї дискусії, які ми сьогодні маємо, він рекомендує, перш за все, сприяти інтернаціоналізації саме освітнього процесу і навчальних планів. Перша зі стратегій інтернаціоналізації вдома – це інтернаціоналізація силабусів і освітніх курсів, навчальних програм, які можуть бути створені і викладачами, академіками нашого університету, і університетів за кордонів, для того, щоб це було викладання в межах декількох університетів. Інтернаціоналізація вдома передбачає, що студентам не потрібно їхати кудись за кордон, витрачати на це час, це навчання, і професор Меннінг підкреслив, що в нас є дуже гарні цифрові ресурси, які нам дозволяють проводити саме якісний освітній процес. І, власне, цей механізм нам дозволить побачити і свої сильні сторони, і побачити, чого нам не вистачає, і, власне, побудувати модель і з цього рухатись для того, щоб глобалізувати інтернаціоналізацію саме завдяки освітньому процесу, навчальним планам. І, власне, в нього є багато робіт і багато таких інструментів, які нам можуть з цим допомогти. So, Professor Ентоні Меннінг, I've just made a short summary and one more question for discussion. So you have told us about COIL programs, right, which can be conducted and provided thanks to digital tools or within the online education. How do you think which programs would be the best to be firstly implemented at our university? I understand that it's very difficult to probably to define, but from your experience, from your point of view, how do you think, what should we focus on, because we have not provided this experience, not yet?
So COIL is a term really devised to describe the pedagogical approach or the educational approach where two or more academic staff from different institutions or countries come together to design a module or a project within a module for their students. So it can be something as small as a kind of research project that might be linked to an essay or an assignment. And it could be something that is demonstrated through a shared presentation. whereby maybe you've got a group of 5 students from Ukraine working with a group of 5 students in the UK in a university. And the aim is for them to research something together or to investigate something together and to present it. But actually, although the product is important, it's probably more the process of collaborating effectively digitally, which is the most important dimension, given that for many people, the idea of working internationally in the future may actually be through the medium of computers rather than physically living or working overseas, although some people will have that great opportunity. So it doesn't have to be huge. There are big scale coils where you can work with companies or agencies provide very large opportunities for this, sometimes where they've got hundreds of people working collaboratively. Then, of course, you've got opportunities to work with all sorts of different groups. I personally think it would be brilliant if we could do a coil based on the UK and Ukrainian twins, whereby we have each institution from the UK twins and each institution from the twins in Ukraine putting forward a few students each. And then we'd have a huge group of people and working collaboratively and they then do presentations. You can have a kind of ceremony at the end. That would be a brilliant thing to do, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. Thank you. Шановні колеги, питання стосувалося міжнародної освіти в форматі онлайн-навчання. Програма COIL – це міжнародні онлайн-програми, і це дуже гарний інструмент впровадження інтернаціоналізації, зокрема інтернаціоналізації вдома. Питання стосувалося, на чому нам потрібно зосередитися, як почати впровадження таких програм, які мають абревіатуру COIL. І професор Ентоні Меннінг наголосив, що не обов'язково починати з якихось глобальних програм. Це може бути співпраця 5 студентів українських, 5 студентів, наприклад, з Великої Британії. І, зокрема, ми можемо це почати впроваджувати в межах Twinning Initiative, ініціативи єднання, в якій наш університет бере участь. І, власне, це можуть бути есе, це може бути наукова робота, і це можуть бути освітні курси, які, як професор Ентоні називає, це буде brilliant, це буде дійсно блискуче, якщо ми зможемо запровадити такий формат навчання. So, Professor Ентоні Меннінг, thank you for the discussion and for your answers. And I believe that our students also want to ask you some questions. I don't know, but I believe they do want to ask you something. Either so, yeah, please, the floor is yours. So we will ask our students to come up to the microphone and ask you. So you may ask in English or Ukrainian as you prefer.
I will English.
Hello.
So, hello,
That's good.
my name is Oля. I am PhD student in software engineering. First of all, I want to say thank you for so interesting and insightful lecture. And my question is, what are the perspectives of partnership between the United Kingdom and Ukraine? And can this concept of internalization at home become such a powerful tool to enhance this partnership? Thank you.
Yes, I think there are already lots of active partnerships between Ukrainian universities and the UK, and we know, of course, that the UK recognised the importance of Ukrainian universities long before the war. So your excellence is, long established and well known. And I think often, in order to have a very strong and large-scale performing partnership, it's useful to start with something smaller. So as we hope that the war will be over sooner rather than later, the idea of starting with something which does not involve lots of physical mobility, I think can in future be broadened to be more about that mobility, and can still achieve a lot collaboratively without that mobility, which we hope comes back in the future. And in terms of internationalization at home, internationalization is a kind of continuum, isn't it? And so I believe that all forms of internationalization are healthy in terms of getting people in education to understand the needs of a broader audience and how the research being undertaken and education being co-created needs to be informed by the needs of a broader global audience, given that students in any country will have influence all over the world in one way or another. But for me, giving more focus on internationalization at home gives more students the opportunity to see that they can piece together a lifelong learning approach to internationalization, which can extend beyond mobility and set them up for being able to have a mindset which is open and inclusive and collaborative in the future, that really helps us in terms of international relations. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Olga, for your question, and thank you, Professor Ентоні Меннінг. Отже, шановні колеги, питання стосувалося інструментів і формату співпраці між закладами вищої освіти України і Великої Британії. Am I right? І професор Ентоні Меннінг підкреслив, що інтернаціоналізація – це тривалий і масштабний процес. І якщо ви хочете зробити щось глобальне, ви можете починати з маленьких кроків. І, власне, всі інструменти інтернаціоналізації вдома, вони дозволяють достатньо великій кількості здобувачів і викладачів долучитися до цього процесу інтернаціоналізації, і він бачить в цьому достатньо велику і гарну перспективу в форматі її масштабування і як інструменту співпраці між Україною та Великою Британією. So maybe there are some more questions. Yeah, the floor is yours, please. So Anthony, we have one more question.
Good afternoon, dear Professor Menning, dear guests. My name is Tatiana Kornichuk. I'm head of Center for Psychological Resilience and Wellbeing at Kherson State University. And I'm curious to know your opinion on how we as universities can motivate students to take more part in various international exchanges and especially in internalization at home activities.
Sure.
Do you need translation? I'm just joking.
Ready for me to go? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it sort of connects to what I was saying previously in that, I mean, when I was a student, I had the benefit of having lots of experiences of living overseas. And obviously I can't deny that those experiences, they had a transformational effect on me. They were very powerful. We all know, if we've had those experiences, that on some days you have something wonderful happen to you that, you know, is really illuminating. And on other days you might experience something in another culture which is quite shocking. And through that process you take pieces from that, and it changes your outlook. And sometimes you realize that you like some things from other cultures that you want to adopt and take to yourself. And other times you see things that you think, I definitely don't like that, and I'm proud that my culture does something in a different way. So there's nothing like that kind of deep end experience to get a radical mind shift. But the truth is, not everybody has access to that. And so it should not be that you either have it or you have nothing. And so internationalization at home is a way to still have it. Individual parts of internationalization at home are arguably not as powerful. But if we instill a mindset in people that this is about taking pieces from here and taking pieces from there and developing a lifelong learning mindset over time that is more sustainable, and because we can't necessarily live overseas for the whole of our lives, then we can, you know, build an approach that is inclusive, affordable, manageable, sustainable, and allows us to keep in contact and influence more, because more people have arguably got the approach to that, the access to that. And going back to what you're saying about, you know, the psychological resources that people need, for me, I think it allows people to see that opportunities for access to internationalization are not cut off, actually. We just have to be more creative to find them, and we have to pieced them together in different ways.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. I found one more metaphor. Was it about puzzle?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
I've got another metaphor I'll share with you, Ala, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I think I've told you this before, but
Yeah,
the
you
next
have.
metaphor
You have.
is Cinderella.
Oh,
So we have internationalization through mobility, which is obviously a very glamorous form of internationalization because it is, perhaps very rich and deep and sometimes expensive. But I think sometimes internationalization at home is like Cinderella. Cinderella is not going to the ball, does not get the top billing, does not get the full notice of other forms of internationalization. And Cinderella is living below the stairs. She does not have many resources, but actually she is a diamond and she has very, many good ideas and has very virtuous ideas and is a hidden gem. And therefore, it kind of aligns with this idea that sometimes the resourcing of internationalization at home is not as much as it should be, but actually, if we invest in it and nurture it, it can become something, powerful and beautiful.
oh, that sounds like a fairy tale, which should be implemented, which should come true. Отже, шановні колеги, питання стосувалося мотивації, яким чином ми можемо змотивувати студентів долучатися до програм інтернаціоналізації. І професор Ентоні Меннінг у відповіді розповідав про свій власний досвід, що коли він був студентом, він мав можливість долучатися до програм інтернаціоналізації, які з одного боку змінювали його світосприйняття, іноді його шокували, але вони трансформували його свідомість і власне усвідомлення різних культур і різних можливостей. Впродовж своєї відповіді професор Ентоні Меннінг казав про маленькі частинки, з яких ви збираєте власне свою загальну концепцію бачення міжнародного світу і міжнародних партнерств. І я задала додаткове питання, чи можемо ми сказати, що це метафора пов'язана з пазлом, на що професор Меннінг сказав, що це метафора Cinderella, попелюшка. Коли попелюшка не потребувала багато ресурсів, вона могла не потрапити на бал, але отакими маленькими елементами вона змогла дійти своєї мети і перетворилася на принцесу. Але суть в тому, що попелюшка могла це зробити, не маючи дуже великих ресурсів. І, звичайно, це метафора казка, яка має бути імплементована у життя. So, thank you. Yeah, we just, our rector says that she had her godmother who helped her. So I believe we should also have one to help us. Oh, we're just joking. We continue like the metaphorization of our language. So have we got any other questions? Have we? Yeah. So we should make a gender balance. I should give the floor to our gentlemen. Otherwise, there is no equality. So the floor is yours. You may ask in English or Ukrainian.
Руденко Андрій, студент медичного факультету. Наш університет поступово робить кроки до співпраці з нашими міжнародними партнерами, тому хотів би запитати, чи університет Арден міг би співпрацювати з нами у створенні програми інтерналізації вдома разом з Херсонським державним університетом?
I would say it's a rather practical question, but a good one. He's a gentleman. That's good question. So he is our student of medical faculty, and he asked whether Arden University, the university that you represent, are you ready to make some steps or programs or concrete steps to implement the strategy of internationalization at home? So are you ready to collaborate with us in this field? Right now, it's like one more comment from our rector. Right now, are you ready?
So I'm always ready as an individual, but I arrived in my new job 1 week ago, so I need some time to collaborate with my colleagues and to work out what the next steps could be. But we do have a hub of activity related to supporting education and students in this area. So I would definitely hope that that's possible. And so I'd love to give you my final answer now, but I have some further work to do before I can commit.
Yeah, thank you. You have done already so much for us, and we have no doubt that we can continue that. Отже, відповідь професора Меннінга, що він, звичайно, як фахівець готовий з нами співпрацювати. І оскільки зараз він розпочинає роботу, ми співпрацювали з університетом Кент. Зараз професор Меннінг представляє університет Арден, який має, це я вже від себе додам, 9 кампусів по всьому світу, в Британії і в Європі. То, звичайно, команда працює над стратегією інтернаціоналізації, і, звичайно, ми можемо рухатись в цьому напрямі і розпочинати нашу роботу. І, звичайно, професор Ентоні Меннінг, like a godmother, нам готовий допомогти. Probably you have no more questions. We have some comments or some ideas you want to share. You want just to say, Professor Entony Menning, thank you for his metaphors, for his concepts, for the concept of internationalization at home, or whatever you wish. Yeah, so we have a young lady. So please, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Professor Menning. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. My name is Alina Glushko, and I'm a representative of International Department of Kherson State University. Dear Professor Menning, I would like to express my sincere gratitude for such an informative and meaningful lecture. I truly believe that this event would provide new opportunities for expanding our partnerships with international other universities of Great Britain. We sincerely appreciate your efforts and experience, and we are confident that our shared values would foster international cooperation and academic exchange. Thank you so much.
The thank you comes from me. Thank you very much for the opportunity to join your event and the opportunity to be part of your academic community, which is a great gift to me. Thank you.
Thank you. So you have already inspired our students and our academics and our young generation, as this lecture is dedicated for our young generation. So they are already inspired. Maybe there is someone else who wants to share? Yeah, so we have one more lady. We have beautiful ladies. So please, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Professor Menning. My name is Daria Kuznetsova, and I am a specialist at International Department of Kherson State University. We are very grateful for the time that you spent with us as a part of our friendly communication. Thank you very much for your inspiring lecture and for sharing your expertise with us today. We are truly appreciate the opportunity to learn from your experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So our young team, young ladies who are already implementing the strategy of internationalization, and we're so happy that they are inspired. So I believe we should finish our discussion as we have no more comments, but there are some comments, of course. Can you believe that we have no more? No, we always have something to say. Just before we summarize, let this Cinderella metaphor really inspire all of us, our students, our academics, to implement all the steps. And before we finish, please don't leave us. We just have some more comments. Professor Alexander Spivakovsky, he wants just to say a few words.
Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Dear friends, Anthony, I have for you, I'm preparing the special for you, very simple, but not easy question. How long time need for integration, maybe harmonization, space of higher education system in Ukraine and, for example, Great Britain? It's very simple. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So how much time to integrate? I think from my perspective, this kind of system.
Sorry, more
do you mean-
details. For example, when we talk about integration between Ukraine and Euro Union, we talk,
Yes.
for example, about 2030.
Oh.
That's why it's my question how long, how much time need for integration space of higher education in Ukraine and, for example, Great Britain. But
Oh, okay.
it's only your opinion.
I mean, I don't think. I think we can learn as much from you about higher education as you can from us. So from my perspective, it feels like it's more about collaboration and sharing rather than integration. In terms of Ukraine integrating into Europe, I hope, like you do, that is allowed to happen as quickly as possible, because what we've demonstrated, or what you've demonstrated over the last few years, is how we are together and we have many more shared values and features than those that are different. And from my perspective, you have all the elements of the recipe for success in higher education, as you demonstrated prior to the war. You just need the right conditions. And then I think also, when the conditions of the war reduce, I guess you'll have a flood of visitors from international that may not have come previously, that will be so keen to engage with you even more directly than before.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for the recipe metaphor. I will still stand on this. And so to summarize, I would like to give the floor to Veronika Denisenko, the Vice Rector for International, Social and Humanitarian Affairs.
Дорогі друзі, пані та панове, ми ще раз щиро дякуємо пану професору Ентоні Меннінгу від організаторів саміту перших леді та джентльменів, а також від колективу Херсонського державного університету.
So, Professor Ентоні Меннінг, thank you once more. We want to thank you from our own side, from all our academics, professors, students of Kherson State University, and the summit of the first ladies and gentlemen of Ukraine.
Я передаю подяку. Передаю подяку професору, ректору нашого університету, професору Олександру Співаковському. А також дякую професорці Алі Цапів за модерацію цього заходу. Ми дякуємо кожному присутньому з вас за вашу активність, за вашу позицію. І ще раз нагадую про інформаційне ембарго. Наш захід завершено.
So we thank to Professor Spivakovsky, our rector. Also thank me, I don't know why, and to all our students, academics, and for your active position, for participation. So thanks you one more, and hope to see you soon. Yeah, goodbye, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.